Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm so ready.
While other pools may be hotter or larger, Celestine is by far the most beautiful. Shades of blue as deep and rich as the sky blanket the earth in a place where steam rises from within. But with this beauty comes the unpredictable activity experienced by many who pass her on the boardwalk. From a calming, meditative sound to a rolling boil, Celestine poses no threat to those who respect her space. Yet, those who invade the depths of this pool hardly walk away. Welcome to Tragedy with a View.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kayla, and I have Sam here with me today. And I just want to give you a quick heads up on this particular episode. It is shorter than I thought it was going to be. I'm not really sure how it ended up so much shorter than what I had thought it was going to be, but I promise if you hang with me, I do have a very, very large episode coming your way. For the next episode, it's actually going to be a two-parter, and instead of making you wait 2 weeks between episodes, I'm going to only make you wait 1 week. And along with that, I do want to give a trigger warning. This is a graphic episode, and we do go into details about burns. And if you're a dog lover like me, it's gonna pull on your heartstrings a bit. And in this podcast, we do talk about death and horrendous injuries quite a bit. So if you're not sure how you feel about that, I'm going to ask that you proceed with caution.
All right, ready to go.
Yellowstone was named a national park on March 1st, 1872, covering 2 million acres of land in the states of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. Yellowstone was the first national park in the United States. Yellowstone is home to a widely diverse population of animals, landscapes, and terrain, ranging from mountains to plains, rivers and geysers, to deep snowfall in the winter and beautiful summers. The area is home to almost 300 species of birds, 16 species of fish, 5 species of amphibians, 6 species of reptiles, and 67 species of mammals. Mammals!
Yes, birds.
Okay. And 67 species of mammals, including 2 bear species.
I think that's actually kind of interesting that a Western national park is the first national park. It's kind of surprising that it's that far west. I'm sure it's the most beautiful, but like you think that there would be a national park on the eastern side of the United States before.
Yeah, I'm sure that the uninhabitable space played a part in that. Just without so many people being there, it was easier for them to
make it a space that people couldn't live.
Yeah, protect it.
That makes
and
sense.
Protect such a large space as well. Sitting atop one of the world's only supervolcanoes, the geysers and springs are fed by one of the largest magma bodies in the world. This means that the water in these areas tend to be highly acidic, intolerably hot, and absolutely deadly to any living thing that enters them. A supervolcano refers to the force of an eruption. In order for the volcano to be classified as super, the eruption would need to reach a magnitude greater than 8 on the VEI scale, or the Volcanic Explosivity Index. How they measure this is the magnitude 8 would mean that the volcano erupted more than 240 cubic miles or 1,000 cubic kilometers of debris and material. Experts say that the last time this occurred in Yellowstone was about 630,000 years ago.
It's a long time ago.
I think there's like some sources say like it's going to erupt soon, and then others say that it's stable, quote unquote. But
nature will do what she will.
Yeah, you don't know. Celestine Pool is located at the lower geyser basin in the park and has an average temperature of 183.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 84.1 degrees Celsius. And for reference, in case you don't know, the boiling point of water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius.
So it's not going to cook you all the way, but it'll be hot.
Oh no, it's going to cook you. It'll cook you. We'll get to that.
Well, will it cook you to 161 degrees like a chicken?
We're gonna
properly cook you? Okay.
We're gonna get to that. We'll get to that.
I'm ready.
This area of the park, the lower geyser basin, sits on top of unstable glacial gravel, which is then sitting on top of stable rock. And what this means is that any sort of shifting or jarring of the ground, such as an earthquake, can make the ground shift, and this can cause the water in the pools to become muddy. It can create new pools and pathways, as well as cut off pathways, causing existing pools to dry up. And not only this, but it can also cause a shift in the temperature of the water in both directions.
So it could actually boil, yeah.
It can, yeah. So 184 degrees is...
I can see where this is going.
The average temperature. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll cook you. It is these pools in the lower geyser basin that helps manage the potential of an eruption. As the water in Earth is heated by the supervolcano, that water, like hot air, rises and bubbles to the surface. Once at the surface, the water cools and then is replaced by more hot water as the cooler water sinks again. This movement in the water is what does not allow the heat in the Earth to build up to a temperature that would cause an eruption.
That is interesting.
So that's why some people say that it's stable, is because of this constant
cycle.
Yeah. On July 20th, 1981, David Kerwin, his friend Ronald Ratliff, and Ronald's dog, Moosey, were driving through Yellowstone when they made a stop at the hot springs. David and Ronald decided to go exploring, and I am going to assume that they decided to roll their windows down because they left Moosey in the truck, and it was July. They decided to leave Moosey in the truck while they went out. Moosey was a very large dog, and she decided that she did not want to be left in the truck and escaped. David and Ronald watched as she ran directly into Celestine Pool and instantly began to yelp. David and Ronald immediately left the boardwalk and started running to the pool that Moosey had ran into. Bystanders tried to stop them, and when one of them shouted to David to not go in there, he responded by saying, "Like hell I won't," and then dove in head first. David swam out to Moosey, tried to lift her up, but ended up dunking himself under the water. Upon resurfacing, David retreated back to the bank of the pool where Ronald assisted him out. A bystander came over to help, and at this point David was muttering, "That was stupid, how bad am I, and that was the stupidest thing I did." David suffered from third-degree burns on his entire body. His eyes turned cloudy white, and he was blind. His hair was falling out, and when a bystander that came over to help tried to remove his shoes, the skin of his foot came off with it. After this, they noticed that the skin elsewhere on his body was starting to peel off, and they called for an emergency rescue and then had to wait for 3 hours while he was in complete agony before an ambulance was able to take him to the hospital. David died the following morning in the hospital due to his injuries, and he was only 24 years old. And now we're going to get to the cooking part.
That's not the way that I want to go.
Don't jump into the pools at Yellowstone.
Got it.
So obviously falling or diving into the water was the worst choice David could have made, and there was no doubt he suffered a horrendous death as a result of that choice. Scientifically speaking, if David had stayed in the water, his demise would have gone something like this. And since Moosey was not recovered from the water, we can imagine that this is similar to what she experienced. The initial dive in had to have been incredibly painful. The water is literally scalding. However, after about a minute, the water would have fried your nervous system's ability to feel pain. Then your skin begins to break down and disintegrate, which would allow the water to reach and burst blood vessels, causing you to begin bleeding out. Some of the underlying skin would be zapped of its moisture, causing it to turn leathery and black, and then your underlying fat would begin to melt off.
So literally burning without fire.
This is known as a full thickness burn, which is, I believe, 3rd degree burn.
Yay.
Your skin, hair follicles, and sweat glands are destroyed. Your body's defense to this is an inflammatory response, which would be appropriate for other injuries, but in burns, this can actually make things much worse, and it can put people into a state of shock. At this point, if heat stroke didn't already shut your organs down, your nervous system would enter a state of shock, which would result in multiple organ failure. And this happens because the inflammatory response is often accompanied by fluid loss, which leads to a drop in blood pressure. Once your blood pressure drops, your body then begins to retain fluid. However, the fluid that is retained in the body will cause swelling or edema, which then limits the ability for blood to flow and get oxygen to vital organs. Staying in the water, you would die within 2 to 3 minutes, and much of your body would dissolve in the extreme heat.
Cool.
And then if you find yourself in the situation where you've fallen, I'm going to assume that you're not going to jump in, but if you find...
After this story, if you jump in, I don't know what to tell you. Continue.
Get a better brain.
That is one option.
If you find yourself where you've fallen in, get out ASAP. The longer you're in, the worse shape you will be in. Getting medical attention for severe burns is going to give you the best chance of survival and recovery, but often with burns this severe, you are having lasting damage. And then the unfortunate truth is that if you suffer from 3rd degree burns to half of your body or more, your chances of survival diminish to next to none. Don't jump into the hot springs. That's what I got.
I had an intrusive thought.
What was your intrusive thought?
You just better hope you taste good after being cooked. It's the best thing you can hope for.
Well, the article that you found about the guy that fell in in 2016, he literally dissolved. They found his foot. I think it was in a boot, and like that's how it got saved, and they were able to pull his DNA from that.
Cool. I won't be doing that.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
When you're walking in the wild, be sure to watch your step. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and review to be the first to hear our bi-weekly episodes. Please find and like us at Tragedy with a View on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you have a story of your own that involves the great outdoors, we would love to hear it. Please email tragedywithAview@gmail.com for a chance to have your story featured on a later episode. Thank you again for listening. We'll see you next time.